Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're with me. I hope that wherever you are experiencing life to the fullest. You're not dealing with devastating storms, flood, drought, hurricanes, you name it. Puerto Rico, devastated by Maria. Can you imagine the entire location where you are, everything being out, the electricity, everything? We're not talking about, an invasion by some army. We're not talking about, something crazy like, the stock market crashes or whatever. We're talking about just a devastating storm. And right now, people are having to really take a look at, how do you survive in this? I saw a report people are sleeping on, just out and about. Where else are you going to go? What are you going to do? It's a flat location, flat island in the middle of nowhere. And a storm that's blowing, 100 plus 150 mile an hour winds coming flat across. How do you prepare for that year after year? I mean, it's like the tornadoes that come through the South every year, same location. We know. I think I was looking at a statistic that said, hurricanes hit these various islands out in the Pacific, in the Atlantic there, once every 4 years. You can pretty much count on it. It's just a matter of what level of devastation. And so, it's going to happen. And what's funny, the people who are the global climate change people that start chiming in, oh, it's the wrath of God and it's man's, blah, 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 this and the combustion and, all the dirty energy and all that. And then you go, well, in 1834, there were 5 hurricanes that hit landfall that did this much damage. They were much more powerful than Irma and Harvey and Maria and whatever else. In 1947, this many hit. In 1923 and whatever. And what you find out is that, people have short memories or they have no knowledge at all of what they're saying. They just spit it out there. That's what Holly weirdos do. Look, here's what I can tell you what I know about weather. Not much. It repeats. And some storms are bigger than others. And the way you measure can be measured based on how much damage it did or the measured wind velocity. But if the wind velocity is 185, 190 miles an hour, and it never makes landfall, who cares? If a bear craps in the woods, do you know? The answer is no. So, it doesn't matter. But when it hits landfall, you can measure in different ways. And you can measure in frequency of all that. And it was funny. I watched some clip. I think it was Jesse Waters. And the guy said, yeah, do we have that clip?
The warmer temperatures or the warmer oceans aren't causing the hurricanes, but they're exacerbating their intensity. How would you respond to someone like that, say, at a bar?
Well, I'm trying to figure out why we've had so many more intense hurricanes than Harvey and Irma. I mean, go and look as far as barometric pressure goes. These storms were not in the top 10, let's say. I think Harvey was
Irma and Harvey not in the top 10 hurricanes in the
as far as
States?
Landfalling intense. The metric that we have is the landfalling intensity. See, we didn't have recons back in the 1800s. All right, in the hurricane season of 1886, where 7 hurricanes hit the United States, 3 or 4 of them major. So you don't know how strong they were out over the middle of the water. We know how strong they were when they hit land.
Yeah, what year it was in the 1800s? Did they have cars that were putting a lot of carbon into the atmosphere back then? I don't think so.
No, let me get my point across. The constant metric is landfall intensity. And these storms, when they made landfall, for instance, Carla was a much bigger storm than Harvey. Harvey just got stuck underneath a cold trough of low pressure. But Carla had hurricane force winds the entire Texas Gulf Coast. Go look at the 1935 hurricane or Hurricane Donna, which did not weaken coming to the Florida coast as Irma did. And Hurricane Donna with what it caused up the eastern seaboard. There are countless examples of storms that are more powerful than this that have hit the United States. We see them out in the water, Jesse, but we didn't see them before.
That's true.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show. So, there's an expert who's giving you the details, and he's doing what, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to compare myself to him, but if I were to go talk about hurricanes and climate change and all these different things, because my pretty much argument to it is, guys, Why are you trying to convince me that as the weather changes, that something crazy is happening? It's weather, and some storms are more intense than others. You know, that's just the way it is. Some floods are bigger than others. A 100-year flood, a 1,000-year flood, whatever. Some floods are just bigger. And it's beyond our control. I love it when man believes that we are so powerful that we control these types of things when we flatly don't. It just shows you leftism believes itself to be so powerful and awe-inspiring when it's nothing. So here's a guy that's saying, look, here's the history of it. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to base your analysis on as much information as you can have. And they don't do it. I'll give you a good example too, and we're not going to talk about this segment because it's a short segment, but there was a school I keep talking about, MICDS, in the St. Louis area, and they made, the mandatory reading of an article by a woman, and I'm not kidding you. The woman says, now look, I'm no expert in this subject, but here's the top 10 things that white teachers need to say about race when talking to students. And so it gives you these 10 things, students of color, of course, and it gives you these 10 things that you can't do. You can't say, oh, there is such a thing as reverse racism, and I'm just going from memory. And I thought to myself, what are you talking about? So, but the interesting thing about it is the lady admits she's no expert, but here's my expert opinion. And the school administrators, from the board of the chairman of the board, president of the board, he says this is required reading for our teachers. Now, that would be like saying it is required study for you to read Kevin's book on automotive, engineering, when I know very little about automotive engineering. I'm no dummy. I could study up on it and give you other people's talking points. But if I were you, I'd go get a dude who builds NASCAR engines and probably listen to him before you listen to me, even though I could give you a little bit. That's what the left does. And the sad part is people suffer. They're suffering in Puerto Rico and elsewhere, Houston, Texas before that, and South Carolina. And these people are politicizing it over global climate change and trying to change the world into something that we have no true control over. That's what bugs me. Anyway, tons to talk about. The president's back in the news. He said something on a Friday, or maybe it was early Saturday, I don't remember. It was over the weekend, about NFL, and we got to cover that.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville. Can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. It's where you can find us on the internet. And I encourage you to get the clips and play them, send them over to people, things like that. That is the smallest way you can help is to listen. And I don't mean it, in terms of, you're at the lowest level of helpitude. But the smallest way you can help is by listening. We appreciate that. The next thing you could do to help us, it costs you nothing, a little bit of time, is take a clip off of KJ Radio and forward it to your email list. Let people hear the show and determine if they like it. Don't be hogging the show all for yourself. There's plenty to go around, I promise you. We got lots in storage. I've checked. So do us that favor. And if you want to do more, get on the team. Seriously, tell us how you want to help, and we will do our best to do that. Now, I say that with the notion of if you can help, let us know specifics. Kevin, I am a blankety blank. I post-production edit. I could help you, get the best clips from your show, whatever. And then tell us how much time you can dedicate consistently. Because what we don't want, and God love you, that people that come in and help, and then they leave in 2 days and go, wow, these people really work hard, because we do. It's not simple to come on here and do what we do every day. So, hey, listen, I've warned you about politicians. I've warned you. I tell people all the time, look, we're like a hurricane. We waste a lot of energy, right? Because we get involved in 1,500 different, political races around the country, especially during an election year. And and I'm talking about a presidential election year, but even in a regular election year, we get involved in a lot of different races. And we put a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of time, resources into these races. And we either lose or we get the person we want. And thereby validating the old saying, be careful what you wish for. So we get somebody, I'll just use John McCain as an example, and we think, man, he's going to be so good. He's going to help us. He's going to represent us. And what does John McCain do? He proves to you that he doesn't care about you. John McCain wants to be popular. That's it. I mean, look, how bad is the political system when somebody gets diagnosed with brain cancer and you still can't get them out? There's no system to get them out. If you get diagnosed with brain cancer, you shouldn't be able to drive. You certainly shouldn't be making policy decisions. And look, I'm not trying to be funny about this or anything. John McCain has been sick for years. What we are seeing as a symptom, where they finally have admitted that the dude has a brain disease, has been going on for the better part of a decade. Probably, 4 or 5 months ago, John McCain was in front of Congress, talking to somebody, quizzing somebody that was before a congressional committee. And he was like, and he froze up for probably, it was an uncomfortable 20 seconds, give or take. And right then and there, people were going, something's wrong. Well, here's what they told you. Well, John McCain, after he had his little, too long of a pause, decided to go to the doctor. John McCain is known for years. Trust me that he's got something wrong. Don't believe the hype. He's known it. And we've known it because he flies off the hand. John McCain exhibits all the signs of somebody who's going through dementia of some sort. And we have this man in control of lots of stuff. Because of seniority, he sits on some of the best committees. And I could go on. It's ridiculous that we allow for this. The dude is over 80 years old. Our mandatory retirement age used to be 65. None of the rules apply to Congress. McCain could literally be 115 years old if he could live that long. As senile as your grandpa's goat. What they call those goats that fall asleep, that have narcolepsy. He could be one of those, falling asleep in the Senate chambers and still get elected year after year. We have a system that elects people who are, quite frankly, brain crazy, brain dead, brain malady. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on McCain. Look, love him, hate him. I don't have a dog in the fight in that regard, even though I do, have a residence in Arizona at this point. But I don't care. What I care about is somebody who gets elected to support what he says he's going to support, what he vowed when he got reelected. I'm fighting Obama on Obamacare. Then we get Obamacare. Then we start looking at how do we dismantle it. And what does he do? No, not going to do it. At this stage of the game, dismantle Obamacare, period. It needs to be gone. We need to not be mentioning Obama's name when we talk about health care. We need to make sure that the legacy of the left, which is what this thing is, it's an albatross, is gone. And I'm not talking about delete it from history as if it never happened. No, wrap it around their necks like a boat anchor, tie it to them, and send them out to sea while we build something different with somebody who actually gives a crap. That would be Donald Trump. But McCain can't stand it. Ego. Just ego beyond ego. You can see it in everything this man does is ego. It's ego about how much money he has. It's ego about his history in the military. You know, he's so used to people just kissing his butt that he can't stand that he couldn't make it to where Donald Trump is. I'm telling you, folks, this is professional jealousy, if you want to call McCain a pro. And certainly I wouldn't call Donald Trump a professional politician, but and therein lies the angst of McCain. Donald Trump comes out of nowhere. Folks, I don't think you really understand how much the political system, the establishment politicos, Democrat or Republican, hate when somebody like Trump comes along. They hate it. Consider it this way. You've invested years in coming up through the ranks. You started out on the school board. You went to the county commission or whatever. You became a state rep. You became a congressman, maybe a senator, and then you're biding your time, man. You're looking for legislation. You're doing all. You are now firmly entrenched in the political system. You are decades in. You know the system inside and out. You have kowtowed to people that you never would have given 2 seconds of thought to in the real world. But you have to pay attention to some weak-kneed sissy like Harry Reid or whatever, because you've paid your dues, and Harry Reid can butter your bread. He can feather your nest. And he makes you do things, and you've done things that are unethical, unscrupulous, because Harry asked, or Schumer asked, or McConnell asked, or Ryan asked. And then suddenly, here comes this ingenue out of nowhere. What's he got? Nothing. He's got, in your world, he's the least qualified person because he doesn't understand the system. He's been in this other thing called the real world. But that doesn't play in the political world, the dog-eat-dog blood sport of politics. And he's now there, and he just he leapfrogged over everybody. Do you think you'd be okay with that? You've been waiting, biding your time. At companies, we call that change management. And the guy who's coming in, he has nothing but enemies. I'm talking about at a corporation. And that's what Donald Trump's facing with McCain. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL when somebody disrespects our flag to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, author of Race Pimping. And I bring this up generally when, there's a topic that race pimping is involved in. And the NFL, Colin Kaepernick, race pimping. That's all it is. You know what's fun? If I mentioned my book every time something involving race came up, it would be me talking about this book all day long. If I took excerpts from it, I'd have you cracking up and going, Kevin, how do you know this? I look like I'm a guru, like I was dropped in by God from outer space or something to explain all this stuff to you. Because in my book, I chronicle every single thing you're seeing right now, right before your very eyes. I got to tell you, when I heard Donald Trump say what he said about the NFL and the fact that these people should be fired? Have you guys heard me say this? I said if owners took a stance, if the NFL took a stance and said, you kneel, you're gone. You are not to play in the NFL. If you're a player and you want to disrespect the fans of this sport, the people who allow you to play it, the veterans, the country that allow you to play it in, then you're out of here. It would end immediately. There'd be no social justice Black Warriors, because you know why? These little step and fetch it, silly Negroes have no care in the world about the things that they complain about. They care about their money, their paychecks. They care about how they're perceived by people, their fan base, how many jerseys can they get sold, and things like this. They don't care about the people. What a joke to believe that. Colin Kaepernick has about as much in common with the very black people that he claims to be social justice warriors for as Doogie Howser. In fact, I would bet you Neil Patrick Harris has more idea about what the black condition is than Colin Kaepernick. And it's such a joke to me to think that a dude named Kaepernick, half Italian, half black, adopted by two white parents, wants you to believe that he's down with the cause. He feels the oppression of the black man. Let me tell you what Kaepernick is. He's a black dude who got radicalized. It's like ISIS. He got radicalized by blacks somewhere along the line because he feels guilty about his life. That's what it is. He ended up getting adopted by a loving, caring family, white people, living the, quote, white dream, the white world, having this so-called privilege that is supposedly not meant for him, and now he's got to find a way to become oppressed. That's all it is. Take your pick. I have a friend. He does repairs around the house, and sharp guy. He says to me, Kevin, I had a friend. We went to school together. He goes, black chick. He goes, man, my buddy used to be a good dancer. He was in a dance group. So he looks white almost, but he's a Hispanic. But he's very light skinned, no accent whatsoever. So you think he's a white boy, but he's not. He's Hispanic. But he hung around blacks because he liked hip hop and he liked to dance, and he can dance. I mean, old boy can dance. And so he has a black friend who grew, talked proper, grew up around white people, blah, 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 just like him. And he says, now you go to her page, her Facebook page, she's completely radical. And he's like, what happened? And she's like, just everything black-centric, black people. He goes, Kevin, I can tell you with 100% certainty, none of the things that she talks about did she go through. She was not the victim of discrimination. We were all just in it together. And he goes, he doesn't even understand her. And I said, you don't get it. She now has guilt. She's been made to feel guilty. You had it too good, young black girl. You don't understand the black experience. And in order to do that, you got to be down with the cause. So she's abandoned everything she's learned. She's bought into the leftist rhetoric that there's racism all around and black people are getting stepped on. Maxine Waters said, we'll play a clip of her in a bit. You got to hear this clip. It's a pep talk for black people if you want to blow your brains out. I mean, that's what it is. But people like that crack me up. It's like they're saying, I so wish I'd grown up playing some bones, sitting on the porch, eating some ribs with the family coming by with Ray Ray, bringing his baby mama, and then the other baby mama giving him drama, on the phone while the other one's rolling their eyes at him and this. They want the black experience. See, I can relate to it because I had the black experience. I grew up, I'll never forget my grandmother, my aunt, preparing chitlins. All good. And everybody talking about, you got to make sure you get the membrane. But talking about that's the black condition to a degree. And I could go on. Playing bid whist, playing spades, playing dominoes. Talking about, politics. And all the, get running the streets. If you ever heard the term running the streets, somebody's sending somebody to go get some chicken. I mean, the chicken shack. Everybody knew about the chicken shack. That's where you went. It's just a way of life. And I could give you other things that it's from my upcoming in the 60s where it was the way it was. But then again, I'd go right over and hobnob with the wealthy, because my folks worked for him, so I got to see that. And that's where I built a perspective on life of, the haves and the have-nots and who's trying to get something and who isn't and all that. And, those are the things that form you. But let me tell you, you wire kids for success, but you can also wire them for failure. And what's happening right now is we're wiring these kids for failure. So Trump, I want to go back to this because it's such an important thing that Donald Trump said what he said. He did not mince words. I wish they'd fire him. He did this at a campaign rally, Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama, there's all kinds of manufacturing. A lot of it is around military, SCI. But there's not just military. There are people that they manufacture for other people. So it's a big area for that. And he's there talking to, he's dealing with a Senate campaign. Forget the players, but, and I read an article that says neither one does he lose, except that McConnell's backing the one that actually Trump is for. But the other guy, I want to say his name is Storm or something. He's the one that the Tea Party and groups like that support. As you can see, I'm not stay too tied into it. But the point is, Donald Trump's at a rally, and he threw America a long overdue curveball with what he said about football. Pardon the baseball analogy, the baseball reference. And he talked about an issue that's plaguing sports that manifested itself when Colin Kaepernick took a knee. See, it wasn't that Colin Kaepernick took the knee. That was just, that was one of the outcomes of a symptom that had been going on for a long time, because for far too long, football and sports in general have allowed athletes to use their platform for social justice. And just like it's become in Wackadamia, you can't say a word. Ask Kurt Schilling. You can't say a word. The debate is one-sided. And even in the meritocracy of sports, it's sunk to a new low with the antics of Kaepernick and others. This ESPN lady that, called Trump a racist or want to kill him or who, I can't even keep up anymore. And so finally, America has a president who is truly a uniter. And he chimes in and he says to the NFL, you need to take a stance. Now you go, Kevin, what's the big deal? The big deal is the NFL is a corporation, folks. Donald Trump is saying to corporations, you need to take a stance. Well, you got all these social justice warriors. You look, NFL, you provide a service. Your service is to give us sports, pugilists, gladiators, warriors that get in there and show us what man can do, what the human body is capable of. They're not here to look at Kaepernick take a knee. They're here to watch him hurdle somebody 6 feet in the air and score a touchdown. They don't care about anything else. And you've changed the game. You've decided, number one, you're going to make it softer. And Trump went on to talk about this. He goes, I come in there, I want to see these guys hit each other. Oh, well, they get concussions. Really? So we shouldn't have boxing. We shouldn't have kickboxing or any of the MMA sports. We should have nothing where man tests his ability to see what the human body can do. Just for the record, that is how you end up evolving yourself into better human beings. You do the same thing mentally. You test theories. You test ideas to see how they are so you can evolve as a civilization. Why did we get rid of slavery? Because we tested the idea and we passed. But they don't want to test anymore. No. Let's make it soft and easy. Can you see the parallels between the NFL and what's going on in colleges and universities from a mental perspective? The softening of people? Anyway, we got a lot to talk about on this. But when Trump said he was fired, the crowd went wild. And I want to talk about that when we come back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
You know, some owner's going to do that. He's going to say, that guy that disrespects our flag, he's fired. And that owner, they don't know it. They don't know it. They're friends of mine, many of them. They don't know it. They'll be the most popular person for a week. They'll be the most popular person in this country because that's a total disrespect of our heritage. That's a total disrespect of everything that we stand for, okay?
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Of course, that was the president talking about what would happen for an owner who actually said, if you do this on my team, Jerry Jones, I believe, said this to the Cowboys. You do that on my team, you're out of here. I don't think there's a single Dallas Cowboy who's done that. We chronicled a group of players throughout the league that did something, whether they raised their fist or, kneeled or did whatever. And Donald Trump's right. If the NFL were to crack down on this, it would end immediately. You'd find out just how big of sellouts these social justice warriors are. When it comes, do I cash my check and make millions, or do I go and have to go play in the NFL, play overseas in the World Football League? What happens? Because I'm going to tell you, the majority of blacks that are in the NFL, they do not relate to what Colin Kaepernick is doing. They do not believe in the nonsense and the rhetoric of the left with respect to cops hurting black men or anything. They understand exactly what happens in the hood. I can tell you I understand it. I watched a video the other day. A white kid, a cop, has got this guy down, and he's trying to, subdue him. And the guy reaches up and tries to get something off the cop's belt, and the officer gets up off of him, and the guy stands up like to raise his arms, like, "Hey, I didn't!" Pow, pow, shoots him twice. White dude. And let me tell you why the cop shot him. And it was on the site for cops, and they explained it. They said, this guy resisted and tried to grab weapons from the police officer in order to hurt the police officer. It was no longer a possibility of, should I try to subdue him? Now, could he have shot him with mace or pepper spray? Possibly. But he put 2 bullets in him and ended him. Now, if that had been a black dude, even seeing that video, I guarantee you would have been all kinds of hoopla over it. There's a white guy, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing I say to everybody. If a cop is trying to subdue you for whatever reason, if he says you're under arrest, because I've had those words said to me, Kevin, I got to put you under arrest. It was the traffic stuff. It turned out to be identity theft, and they thought I'd killed somebody. But the guy goes, Kevin, I got to place you under arrest. I said, no problem. I put my hands out. That was it. And he goes, and it was the time it happened. I said, in fact, I remember it like it was yesterday. I put my hands out. I said, if it's okay with you, can I drive my car to the station? And he was like, well, yeah. And he goes, now you got to follow me. And I remember going, well, yeah, I'm going to follow you. And he went to get in his car, and he took 2 steps, put his hand on his weapon, and turned around and said, you will follow me, right? And I said, I'll tailgate you if you won't give me a ticket. And he goes, okay. And they let me drive my car. Keep in mind, I'm in a suit and tie. I'm leaving Willow Bend, which is a really nice area of Plano, and I'm taking my kid to school who didn't want to be late. So it was the circumstance didn't lend itself to him having to be fearful, but I didn't know I'm thinking it was a traffic ticket, unpaid something or other. I'm thinking, why you got to put your hand on your weapon? But okay. But he goes, you're going to follow me? Yeah, I'll follow you. And I followed him. And I lived to tell the tale. And it turned out somebody had killed somebody using my identity, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Trump also says this. He says, if fans were to leave the stadium, he goes, I guarantee you things will stop. And I mounted a petition over the weekend to say, look, support the president. Don't watch football. Don't go. Empty the stadiums, fellas. Don't go. Don't leave football on your TV. If you got to watch it, go to a sports bar where they're going to have it on, because then it doesn't register on Nielsen. Don't put it on. Folks, let me tell you, America's hearing what Donald Trump is saying. You know, when you think about the NFL and its ratings down massively, and you know, Trump says, well, it's because politics has become more interesting, and that could be true. But the politics of the NFL has become interesting as well. And I want you to think about this. Trump calls out the NFL, and anything this guy calls out is bound to take a hit. Now, I don't remember if he called out Target. I don't remember if he called out Starbucks or whatever else. But when he does call these people out, things change. So I want you to think about this whole thing with the NFL in terms of, say, illegal immigration. Donald Trump says during the campaign as a candidate, we need to stop these these drug dealers and these sex traffickers and all these people from coming over here, and gangbangers. And the left goes, he's calling Mexicans drug dealers and sex traffickers and gangbangers. And Trump's like, no, I'm not talking about all of them, but there's a bunch of them that are here that are doing those things. And they thought, this is going to crush him. And you know what it did? It put the spotlight on illegal immigration. And for the first time in a long time, we started to at least look at it. Now, I don't know where it's going to go. He's talking about building a wall. But here's the point. It's in the discussion. Then what did he talk about? This is one I can tell you I didn't put a lot of thought into. Trade. He says we write these stupid trade deals. Who would write a deal like this? And he goes on this little mini rant about trade. Who does this? Why do you do that? This is crazy. He talks about trade. And you know what we do? He immediately goes and starts dealing with it. He says, hey, we're renegotiating NAFTA. He took away, I don't know, it was $11 billion of lumber contract that was out of Canada. He's talking to Mexico and saying, you're going to build this wall and you're going to start looking, because Mexico's got a $56 billion trade deficit with us. That's a big part of their economy. That's just in trade. It has nothing to do with the money that goes back over from all these Mexican expats that are sending money home. There's a whole lot there. Not to mention the welfare that America gives to Mexico through the UN or the IMF and various other mechanisms. Who do you think's helping the most in Mexico City, in Mexico, where they've had these 2 earthquakes? Who do you think's there doing the most work? Do you think Cuba? Do you think the Russians are? You think the Chinese? Or do you think the North American neighbor to Mexico is? That would be us, by the way. So Trump addresses illegal immigration. We start to look at it. Trump addresses trade. We start to look at it. Trump addresses the Iran deal that was cut. He's going, I'm not going to be in it. Trump addresses the Paris Climate Accord and goes, this is ridiculous. We can't be held to a standard, a world standard, where we're just the money bags for it. He addresses the UN and says, look, I think this organization isn't doing what its charter is. Then he goes there and excoriates them and says, how can you dare deal with North Korea the way you're dealing with them and call yourselves a body that wants to prevent war? And so what does the UN do? China responds and says, you know what? The North Koreans can no longer bank with us. Who else can? Everybody says he's a hothead. He'll jump to. He's not jumping anything. We got a guy blowing up H-bombs underground, and Trump says, China, cut him off. China cuts him off. China sent that coal shipment back. People aren't talking about this stuff, but he's addressing these issues. And now he sets his sights on the NFL. He says, NFL, when did you change? When did you become this organization that instead of focusing on greatness, you started focusing on allowing individuals within individual cancers within your organization to grow and to spread? They don't have a single cancer. They have multiple cancers. And it's just going to spread. They're going to metastasize, and suddenly the body dies. And it's already starting to happen. And he goes into the ratings. You know what it tells you when Donald Trump starts talking about? Look at their ratings. He goes, I watched it for a couple of minutes the other day just to, catch up on scores or whatever. But he goes, look at their ratings. People have turned you off. And they're turning you off because you're not giving them the product that you promised. Instead of focusing on bettering your product, you've been focusing on social engineering. You think that's the long play, and it isn't. I don't know if they're listening to the president. I don't even care because I'm not watching it. Folks, this is not about a sport. This is about your ideology and who's going to win.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's Kevin Jackson Show. I want you to imagine for 1 second if Donald Trump were Barack Obama, what would we be talking about? Would we be talking about Russians? Would we be talking about how bad his decision is on, talking about the NFL? If Barack Obama had said to the NFL, you know what? We shouldn't be dividing this country. If young men want to take a knee during the national anthem and embarrass this country, you should fire them. What would the left be saying about that? Take any of these things that we talk about daily and ask yourself, if Barack Obama were doing it, we already know what happens with the travel ban. We already know about immigration. Barack Obama has the same stance on immigration, at least when he was campaigning, that Donald Trump did, and they handled it completely different. The left is full of nothing, folks, but double standards. And by the way, when I talk about leftists, I'm not talking about just people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and that ilk. I'm talking about Lindsey Graham. I'm talking about Paul Ryan. I'm talking about McConnell. I'm talking about John McCain. The people that you put your trust into, that we spend countless hours helping get elected. Be careful what you wish for. And then they let you down. That's why I keep telling you, join the Tea Party community, teapartycommunity.com, because that is going to save us. Zuckerberg has got us in the kill zone. And every one of these politicians that you think represents you is just waiting to turn on you. All it takes is for somebody to go, John, we love you. Hey, you know what? We're having a little gathering of people that the cool people. John, you want to come be a part of it? And brain dead McCain goes, well, yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, so what? I'm a Republican. That's just a name. I want to reach across the aisle is what he does. So mute that phone. Man, don't mess with me. Mute it. Anyway, so we have put all this faith in these folks, and they constantly let us down. I'm trying to figure out, when have they surprised us and done something the right way? I remember when the Republicans, 100%, 41 senators or whatever the number was, voted against Obamacare. And we thought, woohoo, way to go. And then suddenly we get Obamacare. Down the party line, we were all excited. I remember going, man, look at them. They stuck together, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody told them, hey, Murkowski, you didn't realize that we had this dirt on you. And who knows what deals were brokered. And then next thing you know, we have Obamacare, which we've been dealing with this now for, 6-7 years, a lot. My premiums have gone up. My health care is diminished. I mean, it isn't better. And I've spent thousands more dollars on it. And now they go, hey, well, no harm, no foul. So what? Kevin's out of another 30 grand or so. We tried. No, I want my 30 grand back. It isn't that easy. And then we get fought over this. You get fought over the notion that somebody should not be able to force you to buy something. I want this re-adjudicated. I want the Supreme Court to have to re-look into the issue of the federal government requiring me to have health care. I think it's against the Constitution and against the law. I want them to look at it again. As far as I'm concerned, this is Dred Scott all over again up in here. I'm a human. I'm not cattle. I'm not chattel. You do not own me. That's essentially where we are. This is the Dred Scott case of the 21st century. Does the government own you, or do you own yourself? Now, they own your kids. But once you become an adult, at least when I turn 18, can I own myself? Can I emancipate and go do my own thing? Or am I still a ward of the government? Now, if you pay your taxes on time and figure out what your bill is, I would venture to say you don't exactly own all of yourself. What's the tax day payoff? August 19th, and it's moving out? That's the day they tell you start working for yourself? Wow, how's that? What about all the people on welfare? Do they own themselves, or are they sitting there waiting on that SNAP card to get recharged? They used to wait on the check. They used to sit on the porch and wait for the mailman to come all over this country, 8 to 80, blind, crippled, and crazy, waiting on the mailman. Woo, baby, today is payday. Yeah. Now they just wait to see if that SNAP card's been recharged. They go up to the store and go, run that for me. And they run and go, nope, empty. All right, I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. Come back up there. Zoop. Yep, you got $500. Then the bargaining begins. They start bargaining with your money. Able-bodied Americans, far too many of them that should be working. You can't blame them all because they came out of 8 years of Obama. But they also came out of decades of liberalism that say, you know what? What's for the job? Why do I need to feel good about going to work when I can feel good about cashing some white boy's check? Why do I need to feel the surge of adrenaline that comes from doing something productive every day? Why do I need to pass that on to my kids? Why do I need to understand that emotion? See, that's the emotion of winning. That's why a team will take an older baseball, football, whatever sports player, and they'll put him on a team of young guys, a guy that has been a winner. He's got the Stanley Cup. He's won the basketball championship or the baseball championship or a Super Bowl, a major league pennant. And they say, come join this team of rookies, or, of young guys. They don't bring him on because he's still got all the talent. His talent's diminished. But you know what doesn't diminish? The way he thinks. And that's what they want him for. They're out there doing this. He's like, guys, look, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'll tell you this. When I played on the championship team with Michael Jordan, we didn't do what you're doing. We did it this way. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'll tell you what Michael did and how he got those rings. That's what they bring him on for. You want to know why you listen to me? Let me tell you why. Because I know what it is to be a winner. Yeah, I know what it is to be a winner. The only thing I hate more than losing is not winning. You get what I'm saying? And I want to teach you how to be winners. I want to teach you to have a different mindset. I want to teach you how to assimilate a problem, look at it and go, whatever. Because that's what we have to do. And we have to pass that gene down to our kids. If everybody else doesn't want to do it, fine. I remember when I was growing up as a black kid, when I was a yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Oh, you want them step and fetch it, Negroes. Yeah, whatever. But I still said, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am. And I know how people respected me because I showed them respect. Anyway, I'm going to show you some respect. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Meanwhile, we pony up the money. I mean, it's really preposterous. Do you think this institution, why in the world do we perpetuate it? It's a joke. Well, everybody knows it's a joke. And the pretense that somehow great geopolitical minds come together as either leaders of nations or other institutions and then make the world a safer place. It is palpably a lie.
Well, the political institutions have failed. Jeane Kirkpatrick was once asked if the U.S. should withdraw from the UN. She paused for a moment and said, no, it's not worth the trouble. And the reason for that is we'd have to overcome the Europeans. So my suggestion is...
Well, it'd save us a couple of billion a year.
We move to voluntary financing. If that doesn't get their attention and make the reforms, then you withdraw.
Yeah, I just do not comprehend why this fiction is preserved. The president tomorrow will give an important speech, we're told. I have never seen an important speech by a president to the General Assembly.
Well, it's worth a try, I think, so we'll see what the president does. You know, George W. Bush, when he came up here each year, used to refer to it as his annual trip to the Wax Museum. So we'll see if President Trump has better luck.
Well, we will wish him all of the very best in doing so.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show. That was Lou Dobbs and Ambassador Bolton discussing the UN, and Lou Dobbs is exactly right. Bringing all these great geopolitical minds together, blah, blah, blah. And then Bolton says we should do voluntary financing. If we want to finance it, we do, but not this mandatory thing. It's like the International Monetary Fund. When has that ever benefited the United States? Since its beginning. Never. We're $20 trillion in debt almost, and we've never gotten a nickel from the International Monetary Fund. We just give. And so Dobbs is like, what? It's a fiction that the United Nations is doing good. But where Lou Dobbs was like, there's never been a president that's given a speech or whatever. He heard the first one. And it was this, as I said a few minutes earlier in the broadcast. The fact of the matter is Donald Trump knows how to win. The Republicans, the Republic, has finally got somebody who knows how to win. Donald Trump learned how to win because he takes a piece of property, and a few years later, it's beautiful. It's profitable. That's winning in his eyes. It's rarely a loss. And so he knows how to win, and he's instilling this principle into people. It isn't going to change overnight, folks. Don't think that Donald Trump's going to go to D.C. and drain the swamp in a day. No, but the water level's going down little by little. And you see it. I'm not going to harbor on this point about the UN except to tell you that Look at the win that came out of it. Donald Trump goes up there and excoriates North Korea. He excoriates Venezuela. He says to the world, if you support this type of a regime, shame on you. And he gets results. Ask yourself this. 8 years ago, Kim Jong-un was doing the same thing. Did Barack Obama go to the UN and say to them, how dare you support a guy like this, China or anybody else? Did he name any country out and say and give you a result that got immediate response? You want to know what the immediate response was? The Chinese came out and said, you cannot bank with us anymore. Where's North Korea going to bank? Now, if we find out that cargo ships or whatever are going to North Korea against the sanctions, essentially what you're saying to the world, he's called the UN out to say, anybody that violates this to a guy that threatens the world with nuclear weapons, we're going to come down on you. We're going to give you a reason why we leave the UN. This is a setup for the UN. I think smarter minds know. I think these geopolitical minds that Lou Dobbs is talking about, I think they know. I think right now people are plotting, how can we please get Donald Trump and the United States to come to the Paris Accord, to come to some, something that we can deal with. How do we do it? Yeah. They're trying to figure it out. Because Donald Trump's going, look, I don't care what politics were in the past. We now know how to win. We are not going to be the patsy sitting at the poker table while everybody else is smiling going, yeah. If we play our cards right, everybody goes home with the United States money. Because that's what we've been. We've been the patsy every single poker hand. We might as well just not even play. What Barack Obama should have just done is said, look, I brought $100 million to the poker game. How do y'all want to divide it up? Because that's what we've been dealing with. And so what does the left do when they can't win? They got to give you subterfuge. They got to boggle you down with all these other things that, that they know we shouldn't be talking about. You got ESPN hating on Donald Trump. You got the Emmys targeting Trump. In triage, these people can't get, they can't even get Hollywood to watch their drivel anymore. Let me ask you this. Who won Oscar for Best Picture last year? Do you know? I don't know. Do you guys know? Of course not. 2 years ago, 5 years ago. The only way you'll know that is if you're studying for Jeopardy. Because there's no reason to know. Who cares? Let me tell you who won. Somebody that made a political statement against us is going to win everything. Best comedy, best costume, best this. Did you say something? Did you hate on Trump? Did you hate on conservatives? Did you pretend to be humanitarian towards Mexicans? Did you tend to say, did you say something like, I love all the Islams and radical Islam is a figment of the imagination or whatever? Did you say something like that? Because you can get anything you want out of Hollywood. I would love to give us some slack. I would love to say, you know what, conservatives, it's not our fault. It is our fault. Let me tell you why it's our fault. We've had decades to watch this, and we're smart. But we've had decades to watch this, and we've done nothing. I shouldn't say nothing, but very little. Guys like Kevin Sorbo make independent films. James Woods says, look, my career's over. James Woods could go and start working with Sorbo or Nick Searcy. How many people in Hollywood do you think would gladly move over and start making conservative, good films? Think about the acting talent of Jon Voight, Davi, Sorbo. These people getting together, Adam Baldwin, getting scripts written by conservatives, even throw in, what's his name? Mel Gibson and whomever. Find every conservative, every gaffer, every sound man. I think that is a gaffer. Whatever. I don't know all the Hollywood lingo. Don't be looking at me like I'm crazy. But get all those people together and let's start making films. And better yet, you guys, let's not go to the theater to do it. Let's let them sell those films to YouTube or whomever. If YouTube won't give them the money, or Netflix, both run by big lefties, start your own. And let's start streaming our videos into our homes and watching their films paying $5 to download. Let these guys make $1 million to $5 million films, profit double, triple, whatever. And then somebody start a studio or a couple of studios, and we start watching conservative films and limited releases in various theaters, because theater owners want to pack their theaters, and we start making our own films. How about we do that? But besides complaining about Hollywood, see, we should be looking for solutions, and we can do it. Anyway, we got a ton to talk about. I just got off on a tangent on that. Back in a bit.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
And thinking it's all just a bunch of people looking to do good for themselves or move up the ladder or to have opportunities for themselves. We've got to make sure that we're speaking truth to power, that we're standing up for young people, that they know that we've got their backs. When we do that, I think more will be interested. But as long as you're trying to encourage them, beg them, what have you, it doesn't really work. When you identify young people in the community who are speaking up, when you identify some of these young people in Black Lives Matter who are saying what needs to be said, then go get them and say, I see what you're saying. I see what you're doing. I think you're going to make a good elected official. Let's work with people who have the passion and who want to do it and who understand how important it is. There are plenty of them in our communities, but guess what? We don't associate with them because think they're too controversial. Black people, you better get controversial. You'd better be controversial. You had better call it like it is. We've been shut down because others have defined us. When they said to us about 10, 15 years ago, oh, she's playing the race card, you should say, yeah, and I got a lot more I'm going to play. Don't run away from it. And that's what happened. We stopped calling a racist because they said that that's all you do. You don't do anything else. Don't let these people intimidate or scare you. You got to get in the fight. And you got to be in the fight to make some sacrifices, to understand when you're winning, to continue to work, to make things happen. And I want to tell you it is time to take off the handcuffs.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That, of course, was Maxine James Brown Waters. Hi! Got to tax myself here. Okay, hold on, Donald Trump. I love what she said. She's speaking of black troublemakers when she's talking about the people they need to reach out to. Encourage. When you try to encourage or beg them, she says it doesn't work. She says, identify some of the young people in Black Lives Matter and get them. Don't get the ones who have their head on straight. No, they don't. That's not who you want. They don't have enough passion. You want somebody that's got a passion for troublemaking, and you get them. And tell them, I think you would make a good elected official. You got passion. And she says, by the way, there are plenty of them. We've been cooking them. We've been creating them. We've been, got the conveyor belt. The manufacturing machine is on. We got more black troublemakers than you can shake a stick at. Ignorant to their core. We have made it that way as part of the Negro Project. And Maxine Waters is one of the congressional black circus clowns who has made black folks so stupid they will follow the Pied Piper of ethnocentric races right off the mountaintop. No doubt about it. And what she says is, there's lots of them, but you know what, black folks? Talking to these black people and these white enablers, you don't want to associate with them. You know what she's telling you, America? The majority of blacks want nothing to do with those troublemakers. And she's saying, you better be controversial. You don't want to associate with them because they're too controversial. Well, you better be controversial, or else you ain't going to get yours. You're going to get shut down. You're going to be back on the plantation. You're going to be in slavery unless you follow these morons the way they follow me. And then she goes on to tell him, here's the pep talk. I just want everybody to understand. This is the Black William Wallace leading the troops in the battle. We've been shut down. 10 to 15 years ago, she was playing the race card. Well, I got plenty more, she said. And she acts like the race card hasn't been played for the last 4 decades, 5 decades. Oh, do I need to go more? How many decades do you need to know how long the race card's been played? I'm just curious. Don't run away, she said. Don't you bother. Stay there and fight. She chided blacks to help her. Congregation of black nationalists, people out there, ready to see Maxine. How do you assemble a group of people who want to see Maxine Waters? I'm just curious. How much money do you pay for this? Because you could tell me Maxine Waters is coming to town, and I'd be like, and? Why are you bringing it up to me? Racist? Speaking of a new crop of race pimps she wants to bring out. Let's work with people who have the passion and want to do it and understand how important it is. Trying to explain it. Black Lives Matter, terrorist group. What planet has this ethnocentric race has been living on? I'm just curious where she believes that black people can't get ahead. The race card, folks, is all the left has. They have nothing else. And to be honest with you, they don't even have that because they are the racist. And more blacks are being awakened in the era of Trump to the nonsense of Maxine Waters. And I'm telling you, if you read between the lines, if you hear what she said, you people need to get out there and work with these troublemakers. She's chiding the black community. You're not doing enough to help us get these troublemakers, because that is exactly what Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, the woman that called black people human weeds, that started the Negro Project, said we need. She said, get somebody like Maxine James Brown Waters to tell black people how bad it is and how they need to follow the leader and doing stupid stuff, and we'll keep them right where we want them. And that's what she wants. And she's mad that there are people like me out there, and many others, who are out there essentially sounding the alarm bell saying, hey, don't follow that devil. She's a devil. I don't want to go all Farrakhan on you, but she's a devil. That woman is no good. Unbelievable. For Maxine Waters, all problems for blacks in America originate from the color of somebody's skin. If you're white, you have privilege and you're an oppressor. If you're black, you're oppressed. No matter what status in life to where you've risen, you are oppressed. Oprah Winfrey is oppressed. LeBron James is oppressed. Barack Obama was oppressed. Can I explain to you, it doesn't matter how high you rise in the social structure in this country. For black ethnocentric racists like Maxine Waters, you cannot rise high enough to rise above your skin color. See, that's why they loved Obama for that reason. Anything you did against him, oh, it's because you're racist. What a convenient excuse. White people, anything you did against somebody that did against George Bush, what was that? Business as usual for the Democrats? Anything that was done against Bill Clinton, what was that? Business as usual for the Republicans, but do it against Barack Obama and it's racist. Do it against anybody, it's racist. They pull the race card. I swear, if there was anybody that kept up with these statistics and said who pulls the race card the most, left would win exponentially. It's like the referring to Nazis. Left win exponentially. Oh, look at Donald Trump. He's a Nazi. He's a member of the KKK. He's racist. He's a misogynist. He's Islamophobic. He's xenophobic. He hates Mexicans. He hates blacks. He hates this. He hates women. This is all of it. And it's crazy because they're all of that. They hate them all. She goes on to say, I want you to it's time to take off the handcuffs. It's time to get in it. It's time to call it like it is. What is it, Max? Somebody tell Maxine Waters, please explain to us, what is it that she's talking about? I'd love for her to tell me what blacks can do. Can we not get into college? Can we not play sports? Can we not walk into the front of buildings, sit at the counter, drink out of our own water? Everybody drink out of the same water fountain? Can we not get into hotels? Can we not take planes, buses? What? Explain to me what it is. And the reason that Maxine Waters gets away with such nonsense is because that very same audience needed to have somebody like me come out after her and say, everything that crazy woman said, disregard. Waters is a product of the Negro Project. Her role in life is to demoralize black people so that Maxine Waters can maintain the most success. And Democrats love with a passion to keep black people complaining. Because let me explain what happens when you complain. You rarely look for solutions. See, the guy who's doing his job and he's not complaining, he's contemplating. He's going, it's funny. I'm mopping this floor with this thing that's got all these little, hairs on it. It looks like Medusa's hair. If I get something a little bit more methodical that I could put a trigger squeeze on, I could mop 3 times faster. You know what? If I got a bucket that would let that mop come through and squeeze the water out, I could mop twice as fast. If I had something that would purify the water as it comes through, maybe I wouldn't have to refuel the water as often, and I could mop twice as fast or 3 times fast. He's looking for reasons. He's not lamenting his job. He's going, let me whistle while I work. People are happiest, folks, when they can see tangible results, when they feel that they have reached their potential. People tend to stay angry when they've squandered their potential. Thus, the perpetual state of anger in the black community. Constantly mad. Fuses like that are easily lit when somebody's always mad.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
President Trump may be trying to find a way to stay in the Paris Climate Change Agreement.
Well, I think that would be wonderful. It's very difficult to tell day to day what the administration intends with climate, with the Dreamers, and any host of other issues. But look, we should invite the administration, encourage the administration to reconsider. I think it was probably the single biggest relinquishment of American leadership when the president basically said, we're walking off the world stage on climate. If they can be enticed back, I think that's very positive. I don't know why it is so hard for this administration, whether it's on climate or on Iran or on our strategy of defeating ISIS, to acknowledge that the prior administration did some things right. I'm struck in listening to General McMaster right now, George, about how much that secret strategy that the president had of defeating ISIS that we were going to hear about in 30 days turns out to be the Obama administration's strategy, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Don't sweat it. Donald Trump's not following Barack Obama's strategy. Look, if you even mention Paris, hey, I'm going to Paris. Oh, look at you. You're doing something to follow Barack Obama. No. The idea that because Barack Obama initiated something, it must be part of what the strategy was. It could be 1% Obama, and they will claim that Donald Trump's following Obama. You get what I'm saying? Don't sweat it. They want you to believe the Paris Accord is a good deal, the same way they want you to believe the UN is a good deal. Donald Trump goes to the UN and says, look, your role is to be a peacekeeping organization. You're supposed to be getting countries to play together nicely since your charter in the mid-40s. You've never done it. You've never been successful. We have a guy blowing off nuclear weapons, testing nuclear weapons, threatening nations every day. And what do? You pretend it doesn't exist. It's become a joke, the UN. And Donald Trump says exactly what millions of Americans have been saying for decades. And the only thing that matters on the left is who's president. If Barack Obama had said exactly what Donald Trump said, you'd be hearing the press talk about the boldness in which Barack Obama has spoken. It is amazing. He's changed the whole temperature of the UN. The world is now taking notice. People are now blah, blah, blah. They would be extolling the virtues of that man, and rightfully so, had he done that. And let me tell you, we would have said it. We conservatives. I would have said, instead of Barack Obama going there, holding the UN General Assembly like a little bitty boy, and then capitulating on everything, if he had said, you know what, the United States is not here to be your whipping boy. We are not your bank. The International Monetary Fund is going to help countries that are healing, not those that are promoting war or any other type of terror in any way. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to us and our support of the UN, you're going to get your act together. You're going to go into Darfur. You're going to go into Rwanda. You're going to go into the Congo, and you're going to wage peace. You're going to find a way to do it, or else, you know what? You're a useless organization. And when it comes to Iran, who's been stirring up terrorism all over the world, you look at the number of Muslim terror attacks that have increased as the mullahs took over in Iran. This is sacrilege. You people should be ashamed of yourselves. And finally, North Korea. You're going to do something about that. If they wanted to solve world hunger, the UN could have done it. If they wanted to get more peace in the world, the UN could have done it. The UN doesn't give a crap about peace. They don't give a crap about AIDS. They don't give a crap about any of that stuff. You know what they give a crap about? Power. It's a bunch of elitists that get together and pretend that they run the world. And they want us to be a part of it. And Donald Trump goes, whoa, slow your roll. It's not going to happen. Do we want to be a part of understanding what the world is about? Absolutely. We're happy to be a piece, to be involved. But you're not going to tell us what to do. We're going to work at this together. But unlike these other presidents, the other people that quite frankly should have been setting the course for the UN, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to make you have to come up with something tangible at the end of every project you do. See, that's the difference with a project manager. A president who understands that when I give you a task, I'm coming back to check to see how that task is doing. And don't tell me we need another commission to look into it. For Schiff, that was Adam Schiff, by the way, in that clip. Acknowledge that Barack Obama did something right. What did he do right? Tell me. We're right now, Donald Trump is dealing with frivolous issues regarding race, and they put the whole race incident on Donald Trump's shoulders, thinking it's going to stay. That is the silliest strategy I've ever seen in my life. If they want to go into 2018 making Donald Trump a racist because he's going after the NFL and the people who won't stand for the flag, good luck with that. A friend of mine sent me a note, so I'm going to give her credit, but she said, Kevin, why don't we stick a veteran with every one of those players and then let them kneel? A disabled vet. Put a disabled vet with a Kaepernick or whoever wants to decide they want to take a knee. That's somebody who's in a wheelchair or standing on two prosthetics. Stand next to that sucker that wants to take a knee. And then if Stephen Curry doesn't want to go to the White House, which by the way is only a symbol, it's a symbol and the other, and he wants to go there to make a point. Make a point about what? He's a freaking basketball player. Take a round ball, 27 inches, and put it in a hoop 25 feet away. Good for him. He's good at shooting a ball in a freaking basket and impressing you with his dribble skills. Right? That's supposed to gain so much respect. See, these people get caught up in themselves. LeBron James thinks because he takes that 27-inch ball and he runs up and down that court dunking and, showing all this physical prowess, which, by the way, very impressive stuff. But congratulations. But LeBron, let me tell you, it doesn't give you any more voice than anybody else. Donald Trump, he's just Donald Trump. I ain't going to his White House because he ain't just. Donald Trump is 50 times the man that LeBron James could ever hope to be. LeBron James is a piece of crap. He's a dude who can handle a basketball, as is Stephen Curry, as is Chris Paul, as is all these other little, social justice warriors. The black people are being mistreated. By the way, would you pull up my limo and get my driver and then make reservations at La Walou so I can go eat there and everybody fawn all over me? And to have women all over the place and flying around in private jets. And by the way, did you set that meeting up with Warren Buffett? But you know what? Black lives matter. And man. And these suckers don't do a thing in their own neighborhoods. I do a charity. I do charity work. I work with kids. What these guys do is they work with kids in order to cover up their nonsense. So when you find out they've got 15 mistresses, or they bugger little boys and girls, or they do whatever, then they go, yeah, but look at all my charity work. It's like the Clintons. Look at all the great stuff that we do. How can you be mad at us? These people are lying, disingenuous, most disingenuous on the planet. LeBron James, I said this on TV the other day. LeBron James couldn't name you the last person that got killed in Cleveland if you put a gun to his head. Black person killed by another black person. But he'll name you a black person killed in St. Louis in 2011 and act like he's got some sort of look at what they did to Anthony Lamar Smith. Yeah, LeBron, that was in December of 2011. How many black folks were killed in Cleveland that you didn't give a crap about since 2011? Hundreds. Thousands even. Chicago. You think Stephen Curry cares about the 4,000 mostly black people killed since 2009 in Chicago? Or do you think Stephen Curry likes cashing his check and getting his endorsements and acting like he's a social justice warrior? I'm a social justice warrior. I'm out there fighting for the black man. Go march with him. Go comfort a woman whose child has been killed in the streets by some gangbanger who looked just like him. Who looks like you, Stephen, who looks like LeBron James, who looks like Chris Paul, who looks like whoever the guy was that came from Oklahoma to play with them. Go look. All of them look the same. Yeah, let me tell you, do you think any of them has ever sat with any of the mothers whose sons and daughters have been gunned down, whose children have been killed in drive-bys and so on? No, but they want to tell you about the cop killings. Cops out here menacing. Yeah, what about all the crime in these neighborhoods, the very neighborhoods that many of these kids grew up in? They know exactly what's happening, and they ignore it because they're sellouts. They want to sell this concept that we're fighting for the man. We're down with our people. You ain't down with your people. You're a lying skanks is what you are. And they don't have the heart to admit it, but you know what they'll talk. Kevin, you and Uncle Tom. Really? And Uncle Tom calling you out. Yeah, I'm a proud Uncle Tom for calling your sorry butts out and saying to you, you can talk your game, but that ain't going to solve the problem, fool. I got to leave it there for now.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. We got a lot to talk about. I've been all over media doing stuff on this Trump NFL NBA deal and, social justice warriors, all these multimillionaire black kids. Well, all the ownership in the NFL is predominantly white. Yeah, but the players are predominantly black, and they aren't doing too bad. Let's just say this. They're not worried about the $15 an hour minimum wage, are they? I'm glad you guys are here. KJRadio.com is where you can find me, or you can call the show at 844-551-8255. It's got to be a bitter pill for the left to swallow, knowing that Donald Trump's poll numbers were up recently. According to Politico, anyway, they said President Trump summer swoon appears to be over. After months of declining poll numbers, the president's approval ratings have stabilized and even ticked up slightly over the past month. Let me tell you what's about to happen. They're about to tick up again because people are sick and tired in America of dealing constantly with the specter of racism. And it's one thing when you want to be, I can't pay my bills, I'm on welfare, I can't get a job and all that. That's one thing. People will entertain you if you're down on your luck. And to be honest with you, in America, we barely have time for that because we're like, look, go make your way. There's a job out there for you if you want it. There's an opportunity if you want to create it. It's tough to get people that understand the American spirit to sympathize with you, but we will. When you're down, we'll cut you a little slack, but we aren't going to cut you slack when you're making $100 million over 4 years. We're not cutting you any slack. LeBron or Stephen Curry or any of these other clowns. We're going to take a knee. Yeah. How's that working out for you? Yeah. NFL stats and how was it week 2? I don't even know how many weeks we're in. I don't know. Was it all that they hoped it to be? Do you think you're going to win this battle with the American people by saying, you know what, America's been oppressive to me, oppressing black people, and you're making $100 million over whatever length of time, or let's just put it this way, millions of dollars a year, and you're going to protest? Let me tell you how you could protest. You take your money, Stephen Curry, and you give it to the black folks and even it out. Go the Bernie Sanders approach. Oh, wait, you can't do that because Bernie's got a $90,000 car and just bought himself a big a lake house. No, what they call not a farmhouse, but woods, a house in the woods, a cabin. I'll get it. So he can't go that route because Bernie's a sellout too. See all these guys. Colin Kaepernick, he gave $1 million. No, he gave $1 million of gear, and he's giving away gear in order to mitigate the amount of taxes he has to pay. Colin Kaepernick is the realization of what he's done is finally hitting him. Be a poster child, Colin Kaepernick. You know what? You're going to be a poster child for a guy who stood up on principle and went broke. So be a poster child. Yeah, I'm sure the circuit's going to love you for a minute. You're going to be the belle of the ball until you start, not being the belle of the ball. But when these guys, LeBron James will work on charity stuff when he's in Cleveland, and give his time and energy or whatever. But he's not. This is a man worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Give it away. If you're so philanthropic, give it away. And oh, by the way, LeBron, quit working with white folks like Warren Buffett. If you're so ethnocentrically racist, quit working with white people. Same with Curry. Well, white people own all the teams and they own this and that. Who cares? Ask me if I care. Who owns whatever? Fox News. If Barry Gordy owns Fox News and he pays me, I don't care. If it's Murdoch, great, good for him. I got a job to do. You're worried about these owners. In sports, where you look across. I'll never forget when Sterling had to lose his team, and 11 of the 12 players on his team were black, except for Blake, who's half black. Every other player, there was one white dude on his team, and his coach is black. But Sterling's racist, and the ownership. If the ownership didn't like black folks, they wouldn't hire these. They wouldn't bring on those kids. They wouldn't have a GM who says, "Go give me good players." Let me tell you something. Contrary to what black folks may think, there's some good white boys that can play that game. And they can play it competitively, and they can play it to win. You don't need a team full of LeBron Jameses or Stephen Currys. Stephen Curry was Mr. Hotshot last year, and they had to bring in what's-his-face, who also is an anti-Trumper. They had to bring him in so they could win. And it was funny because with LeBron James, I was hoping he'd lose because I couldn't stand that guy. He is the antithesis of conservative. He lives a conservative life in the sense of his preparation and his look for, how am I going to make sure I have enough money going into the future and investments. But when it comes to social issues, he's a blatant idiot. I wouldn't even call he's a leftist and they are idiots, but he's beyond that because he's got the money to make real change and he won't do it. He won't do it. All these guys, they are so afraid of losing their money. And you know what they're really afraid of, to be honest with you? They're afraid of losing their audience. I'll tell you guys this. I love you. I love my audience. I truly do. But if you think I would sell myself out to keep this audience, you are out of your mind. If this whole audience goes, Kevin, we really do believe Hillary Clinton would have been the best president and you need to quit talking about her. Screw all of you. Go. If I don't have an audience to talk to, no problem. I got plenty to do. I'm not going to sell out on principle. That's what these guys are, sellouts. Stephen Curry doesn't know jack about what it takes, what it's like in life in the hood. Because if he were telling you the truth, he'd say, man, you know, you got a lot of guys down there doing dirty. Now, the point is, everybody rationalizes it by saying, well, look, man, they don't have a whole lot of opportunity. Look, nobody's arguing as to why somebody becomes a stick-up man or why somebody might do something bad that's out of character. But don't blame Donald Trump. How about you blame that silly Negro that spent 8 years doing nothing for those folks? How about you look at him? None of these guys criticize Barack Obama. Yet, Barack Obama's from Chicago. He puts his own boy, Rahm Emanuel, in charge of Chicago. It is the murder capital of the United States. And nobody says a word. LeBron James doesn't talk about it. None of them. But there was a black rapper that blamed Trump for the murder rate in Chicago. If you can imagine that. Dude is president-elect, and a rapper goes, well, Donald Trump, man, he's the reason for all these problems in Chicago. That's how crazy things are. We got a lot to talk about.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It was funny. So we were talking about of course, the NFL, they got people taking a knee and all that. And they obviously tried this new, I think it was called hashtag take a knee on Sunday. And I tweeted, well, be a lot less people seeing it because I can't tell you how many people have written to me saying, Kevin, I'm not watching football. I'm not watching basketball. And if they do anything else, I won't watch that sport. Sports is a luxury. People don't get it. There are some people that are hooked. They're diehard fans. I used to be one of them. I was a diehard Cowboys fan. Diehard Rain. I was from Texas, so for the Cowboys, I was for the Texas Rangers. And something clicked in me one day that said, dude, get over it. And I don't know what it was. I honestly, as I think back on it, and I haven't been made to go deeply, but it probably was something politically. I was like, you know what? These people it's no longer fun to watch. It might have been involving a strike or somebody wanted more money. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I remember the day when guys used to get off the field with whatever sport and have to go back to regular jobs. And so now we're at a time where these guys think they're prima donnas. It's just bizarre. And so, I look back at, I look at these, here's what I hope, and I've said this and I mean it. And sorry for the karma, but because I don't think that's going to come back to me, but I hope that the dollars in sports drops so significantly that the owners go, holy cow. The next person that kneels or whatever, you're off my team. Then I hope the NFL, the NBA, and baseball, because baseball had its first guy who took a knee. And I said, baseball is a little different. First of all, it's American as apple pie, as they say. And secondarily, you can be good for part of the season and get sent down. Baseball could make a serious statement immediately. But my hope is that things are so bad that it makes them take notice and go, you know what? We've now completely alienated our audiences. Same with movies. I want the movie industry to... I'm not going to go to the movies. I'm telling you, me and my son looked the other day. I was telling you guys about a week ago. And we couldn't find anything. But I remember thinking, I'm glad we didn't find anything. You know what else I hope? I hope we redo cable TV to where there aren't these packages. Because these packages allow... They take the NFL... and then they package some Oprah crap or some leftist crap like the logo channel in it. So you got to watch all this other stuff that you don't want, but they package it all together. And they package it in such a way that you have to get a certain amount of leftism. It's like college. They make you take certain... I'm an engineer with a computer science and a math degree. Kevin, you need to take, French literature, this, that, and the other. And you're going, why do I need... or a bunch of leftist stuff like take ethnocentric... racist studies or something. And you're going, why? Well, it's a requirement. We want people to really know. We want a diverse environment. They always talk about diversity and diversity of thought, and it makes people think like this and blah, blah, blah. And it's a lie. They don't care about diversity because if they did, they'd go to the countries that don't have diversity and ask for it and require it. But they don't. So anyway, I hope, let me tell you how it all connects. If you quit watching football, going to football games, you impact the owners fairly significantly. If you stop watching it on TV, they then have to reduce. The TV stations go, we're not getting anywhere close to the advertisement we used to get years ago. So they reduce the revenue. When they reduce the revenue, they have to reduce the players' salaries. They also can't negotiate nearly as good of cable deals. And so if football used to be the draw and it's no longer the draw and they were wrapping all this other crap inside of it, and so if it has to stand alone, they're up a creek because they're going, holy cow, our revenues are shrinking. We're not reaching as large of an audience, etc. All we have to do, folks, is start connecting these dots for them. Stop watching. Don't go to the games. Don't watch it on TV. I'm talking about the actual game. Don't go to ESPN to get the highlights. Leave it alone and watch what happens. You'll watch Stephen Curry go, man, when they renegotiate his contract and go, man, or we don't have that much money, he'll shut up. And so these other people are like, well, Kevin, it's their First Amendment rights. I'm not trying to curtail their First Amendment rights. They can say whatever they want. But they also let them, what they should know is that they're stupid. And the people who are in the know, the people who say, you know what? We value the lives of our military. We value what that flag means when you're standing at attention to it. We value that. That is who we are. It's if you can't see that and see a part of yourself into that, you're not an American. That's America. And if you can't see that, then be gone. But when these guys are having to get second jobs or the other thing, I want endorsement deals to go. We should be going to Infinity and talking to the Infinity people and saying, why are you using Stephen Curry? I own an Infinity. I'm writing a letter saying, if Stephen Curry remains your spokesperson, I won't buy another one. I'm going to write that letter to Nissan. So we have to understand that we have to make these guys pay. And because they don't understand anything else. And if you think that the politicians are going to help, if you think that capitalism is going to help, it's all been corrupted. If you think the NFL, look at what Goodell said. I mean, essentially it was, Donald Trump should leave us alone, and while he can't tell us what to do, and our players, no, he can tell you what to do. It's Donald Trump's job as president to set the tone. The tone that's been set for this country is, for black folks anyway, you don't need to love this country. They had Woodson on there on ESPN. I saw a clip of it. And he's talking about the Star Spangled Banner. Well, racist dude wrote it. He owned slaves. Look, I don't care. I don't know who wrote Madonna's last song. But you might be humming it. That's ridiculous. But that's the level that we've gotten to. And these people, look, it would be different if these are dummies. These are kids, well, they're not kids anymore, but these are young men who know better, who could easily get an update on what this all means. But what it also tells you is we don't do a good job of getting the information out there to them. I would love to challenge Woodson and say, man, you're a moron. Who cares who wrote that song? And I'd give him 2 or 3 songs to think about and say, what about this song? And what about that song? 20 years from now, you think they're going to be talking about this song in the context of the way it used to be sung in the black community? Like Cop Killer? Shut up, man. Get over it. Every time I think about this, I think about Floyd Mayweather saying to people, I don't worry about that, man. I worry about Floyd. Worry about you. Worry about impacting your community and how you can do that. We don't do that by talking smack every time. Man, oh, woe is me. I'm a black guy. Woe is me. Oh, my goodness. It drives me crazy. Our tweet of the day was, in 10, you just give us the House. In 14, just give us the Senate. In 16, just give us the White House. In 18, just give us 60 senators.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to contact us. So I get this clip, and it has to do with a guy on MSNBC. He's a host. You may not know who he is. You may recognize the name, but his name is Lawrence O'Donnell. At one point, it looked like he was going to lose his job, and I don't know if that's the case or not. He should. He's total waste. But what's funny about it is he had a video that was made. It's an 8-minute video that somebody at MSNBC released, and the video shows Lawrence O'Donnell coming unhinged. You got to see this guy. It's crazy. And we have one clip. Needless to say, I'm not going to play 8 minutes of this, but you got to hear just a piece of this. And here's why I want to talk about this guy for just a bit, because I think he's symptomatic of liberalism in general. And when you hear the clip, because it's visual, right? Because he's got these looks on his face that you can't see. So I'm going to try to describe what's happening before you even see it. So first of all, he's happy. He's chatting with a producer that he obviously knows, and he's happy. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, sure, Kelly or Kathy or whatever her name is. And then he starts to read the teleprompter, and you can see it's stilted. It's something's going on. And then finally they stop it. And you'll hear a little bit of his angst, but I'm going to go along with it, chime in there, so I can explain to you what's happening at the time. because I promise you, this is probably one of the most strangest things. I can't believe, I don't know how this got out, but this can't go good for his career. So let's play the clip, and then I'll narrate what's going on, what you can't see. Okay?
That one goes. Thank you, Rachel.
See, he's happy.
Well, today, President Trump visited Texas, but he forgot to bring any empathy with him. But he did bring a hat. A hat that is for sale.
Now, he's trying to be funny and quippy, but now something's gone wrong.
What's going on? Why am I losing this? Why don't I have sound?
He's a little perturbed now.
All right, it's back. Someone's pressing buttons and turning my sound off. Who's asking for a Labor Day rundown in my ear?
Now you have to see his face. This guy is livid. He could choke somebody at this point. He slams his papers down. And they're trying to fix that.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
No, he's out of control. You have to see his face right now. It's crazy. He's a madman. Now he's fluffing papers. He's mad.
20 seconds.
You see? It's not over. You hear?
10 seconds.
And right now, if you could see his face, he slams his fist on the table. They're telling him 10 seconds. And he is so mad, he slams his fist down. Even though they're ready to reset, this dude is royally pissed. Now, in case you didn't believe me when I tell you that the left are unhinged, that's just a sample. This went on for 8 minutes. Now, let me tell you something. There's a guy who's been in a chair, ready to go on, ready to do your job, and things go wrong. It's disconcerting a bit. Like you'll say, I can't hear anything in my IFB. Or there's a big delay, things like that. It's a little bit perturbing, but nothing to get to the level of this. This, guys, seriously, if Dr. Phil was watching this guy, and I can't speak for Dr. Phil, but I can kind of, because I slept at a Holiday Inn Express one time in my life, Dr. Phil would say, this guy's got anger problems, serious anger problems. He went from being nice to his original producer. Kathy, well, thanks. Okay. Well, Donald Trump is going to an event, but he brought one thing, a hat for sale. And then things go awry, and he loses it. Flatly loses it. And they wrote, this is from Mediaite. They say, we draw that conclusion based on the above clip obtained by Mediaite, showing behind-the-scene footage of a furious O'Donnell absolutely going bananas in what appear to be breaks in his show. The video, which lasts a full 8 minutes, is a collection of clips from one evening, given O'Donnell's inconsistent outfit, and showed the MSNBC anchor fuming about earpiece malfunctions, blasting off obscenities, and screaming at his staff. We were able to link it back to the August 29th show. So somebody took the entire broadcast that Lawrence O'Donnell did, and they broke it into pieces. They took the pieces where he went off, and they spliced them together, and it was 8 minutes. Now, I've taped multiple shows at Fox. Let's say Hannity brings people in, you go up there, and they tell you, okay, here's what we're going to do. And just so you guys are aware, it's strange how they do it. So they'll tape a segment. They'll tape Hannity doing a segment that's going to be, say, an 8 minute, and what they call a block. So he's going to do an 8 minute block. And they tell us. So we're going to do an 8 minute block. Sean's going to come in. Now, this is the third block of the program, whatever. So, we're talking about this or that. They do things out of sequence. Now, generally it doesn't involve us. So they may do Sean's intro with just a single guest, and so they'll shoot our second block before they even shoot the first guest. They'll shoot the end of the show, usually the sixth block, somewhere in between. It'll be a break. They'll say, we're going to go, okay, everybody just be quiet. We're going to shoot this block, and then they'll pan to Sean, and he'll say, so as you can see, race relations in America haven't improved under Barack Obama, and he'll do a closeout and say, be sure to tune in to Tucker Show, whatever, and he'll do, an outro, and that's that. Then they'll come back and do the rest of the show. And I will tell you, I've done, I don't know how many, but dozens of taped shows on Fox. And here's what I'll tell you. Maybe 3 of them have a problem. And it's because it's pretty well, you know how it's going to go. You've already written, you've been there all day. You've been writing your stuff that's been loaded up in the teleprompter. And all you got to do is read. And I would say out of the maybe dozens, if not hundreds of hits I've done on Fox, when I've taped even, I'd say there's been less than 10 times that we've done it. But it has happened. Sean will start to read, and then he'll flub a line, and he'll go, you know what, guys, let's do that over. They start over, usually start the music, dun, 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 dun. Then he comes in, tonight we're going to cover blah, blah, blah. He does his thing, and we come in, we tape. And the other thing that they'll tell you, and this bothers me sometimes, they will cut stuff out that you're going, oh, it was a good hit. Yeah, I got that last point in. And then they cut it out because they have to make room. You run into these issues, okay? It's just par for the course. This O'Donnell dude, man, goes crazy. He introduces this clip about Trump, pauses, and then something happens, and he goes bananas. What's going on? Why am I losing this? Why don't I have sound? And you can see his voice raising. If you watch his body language, you get it. Don't be this dude's girlfriend or his boyfriend. He's a loose cannon. He says, you have insanity in my earpiece. Then he draws his lips in and he goes, effing. And as I said, we played a minute of the tirade. If you hear the whole thing, you will think this guy is unhinged. And oh, by the way, he is. Which brings me to the whole issue of these leftists. These guys, and this is why I came to the conclusion that this is not that difficult of a job to do. I mean, I'm certainly prepared for it. I'm not going to become unhinged because you get mad. Let me put it to you this way. If I were to do an interview with Lawrence O'Donnell, I'd have this dude fuming. I would have him so mad. If that's the way he gets, one of the things that people tell me is they say, Kevin, you don't seem like you get bothered by these folks. I got told this the other day. And I said, why would I? It's like dealing with somebody's stupid kid. If I were to talk to a kid and he asked me a stupid question, I would say, well, I'd answer the question, but I'd kind of chuckle and go, well, yeah, I understand you asking that question because you're a kid. You're still not, you don't know. I treat them like kids. Why am I going to get mad at kids for being kids? Anyway, what I didn't play for you is there's apparently some hammering. There's apparently some hammering that's happening in the show, and O'Donnell cries out suddenly, "Stop the hammering!" in response to this knocking sound that's faintly in the background. He stands up and he launches into a tirade past the camera. "Stop the hammering up there! Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer? Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering. I'll go down to the GD floor myself and stop it. Keep the GD commercial break going. Call the effing Phil Geffen. I don't care who the F you have to call. Stop the hammering. Empty out the GD control room and find out where this is going on." For those of you who don't know, Phil Griffin is the president of MSNBC. Then O'Donnell adds, "Effing out of control crap." I cleaned it up. And then in the next and final wild piece, he complains about the editing of a clip, wringing a piece of paper into a tight roll and throwing it onto the ground. These people are crazy, folks. Avoid them.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
We can get clearance from air traffic control.
We've got details on all of this on our Facebook page. I can't let you leave without asking a political question because it's burning me up. You used to work at ESPN. There's been a lot of drama there over recently about the internal politics of that company. What do you make of it all? There's Jamil Hill.
Let me just say, my friends aside, I still have some friends that work there who I love dearly. Yep. This is no surprise. This is a group like everybody. Listen, one thing we know, Tucker, and we've come to know, the left is about your race, your sex, your sexual preference, your identity, who you worship, who you don't worship, who you want to sleep with, whether you're in transit. They're all about identity politics. Every decision they make, every chaos, every event they create is around one of those factors, if not more. The right, we're about legal and illegal. Is it lawful? Are you a law-abiding citizen? I don't care what color you are. If you're a law-abiding citizen, I'm okay with that. If you're not, I'm not.
Interesting. So you're not surprised at all by what you've seen come out of ESPN.
We were like one of those secret like Hogwarts clubs in ESPN when behind the scenes that people would walk up to me and look in my ear and say, "Hey, listen, I'm with you on your politics." Like you were afraid to be found out, and But the only issue that I get, listen, my First Amendment rights weren't abridged. I got to say what I wanted to say, but I work for somebody else and they get to make the rules. They're an openly intolerant, liberal, progressive, bigoted group of people who my biggest beef with it is that they refuse to admit it.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. This is the Kevin Jackson Show. See, the thing about being right or conservative, however you want to define us, I call us pragmatists, is that we will admit to our mistakes. If I don't like you or like the agenda or whatever, I'll tell you. I don't hide it behind something or I'm like, I don't like it. I just don't. I don't like the direction we're going. It's blunt. It's not meant to be cruel or anything, but it's like, I don't like the direction. I don't like this. I don't like that. This is not going to work. That's that. But leftists won't tell you. They'll try to fool you. And I'll give you a good example. I've talked about this before, but I want you to understand what I'm talking about. And there are many others. I could talk about how the left will pretend to help blacks, knowing that the processes that they're using to help blacks actually make blacks more stupid. But let's go to the one where I've used as an example, because I don't need to overwork it, but I talk about Planned Parenthood. They guise it as a women's right to choose. It isn't. Women can choose to get mammograms and all the other female services, including abortions, at many other places. The Planned Parenthood says, our existence is about a women's body and our choices and it's nonsense. Planned Parenthood is about the extermination of what it considers to be the lower form of society, the people of society who create the most problems. It would be like saying the death penalty. The death penalty penalizes those who've created the most problems in America. We can debate, well, should we kill or whatever, but we don't debate the people on the death penalty. We go, man, that dude was bad. He raped 14 women, killed them, brutally them, chopped them up, and served them in his own restaurant. Oh, my gosh. So we don't debate that the guy is, he's a heinous criminal. Now, some people will go, well, we still shouldn't kill him. Okay, fine. But we can at least have that debate. Planned Parenthood is essentially having the same debate, but it's saying we don't even know. It's what's that movie? Minority Report. It's pre-killing criminals. That's what it believes it's doing. And it's rationalizing it. It is Minority Report right in front of your face without all the glitz and the Tom Cruise, movie magic. Because what they're saying is a girl who lives the lifestyle that girls are going to live, many of these girls, and you can narrow it down to the type of girl. She's got daddy issues or no daddy issues. She's raised, by various people, probably in foster care in some sort, molested or raped at a young age, that grows up and is abused by men, becomes a stripper or prostitute or whatever, or she, again, daddy issues, incest, whatever, goes out, sees men as whatever, gets pregnant. There is a profile of the type of woman who is more likely to get the abortion. That's not to say, because there are women out there listening to the program, well, Kevin, I had an abortion when I was 19. I was messing around with a bad boy. I get it. And I'm not moralizing about what you did. It's your choice. But let's not get it twisted. They convinced you that, well, come on, it's early on. You're not really killing a baby. So you did it, and you may have regrets. But there are people out there who don't even see it anywhere close to that. They just see it as a big deal. So Planned Parenthood should just tell you what it is. We are an organization that profiles the type of person that we think is going to birth a child who will grow up to become a menace to society, a criminal, and we want to prevent it. And I would go, wow, congratulations for being so smart about, explaining that. Because you can have a discussion about that. Well, let's look at the statistics. But they know that that's a little too heartless, because then if you start looking at the statistics, you go, wow, we kill more blacks, 300% the rate of their population, than we do whites. We kill whites at a third the population per capita, but blacks at 300% over. So the stats don't map for them to say, ooh, we can't sell that, so we'll call it a women's right to choose. They're liars. That's all it is. It's a big lie. And, I would present this to any forum and say, I would love for somebody to talk, because I have the stats. I've got Dinesh D'Souza's information. I've got Ann Coulter's information, and I have my information. And it's good stuff. I've looked into it. So they should just be truthful to who they are. And what Schilling is saying is CNN wants you to believe it's a media outlet. ESPN wants you to believe it's a sports channel. It's nowhere close. Yeah, they use sports as a backdrop, but look at their discussions. I dare you, go on ESPN, practically any channel, and look at their discussions. Listen to their discussions. Well, the implication of the black players is that, or the white players doing this, or, whatever. Donald Trump's policy on immigration, is and you're going, wait a minute, this is a sports channel. Donald Trump's policy on immigration. What's that got? What is he having to issue HB1 visas for these guys? Maybe, but baseball's been doing this for decades. They know how to bring in Dominicans. They know how to bring in Cubans or whomever. But it's politicized to the point of ad nauseum, to the point where you get up, you're watching a sport, and you're going, oh, they're going to kneel during the national anthem. Really? Oh, Stephen Curry doesn't want to accept an invitation to the White House because he's concerned about the message that it would send to his fans or whatever. Look, it's the White House. So I made the comment, I wouldn't visit the White House if Barack Obama was going to give me a medal, if I was in the military. If I was on a sports team, I'd go to the White House no matter who was there. I just want to be real clear. Military is one thing. I'm not accepting a medal from a man I have no respect from. But going to the White House as part of a team of victory and celebrating with my buddies, guys that probably would never have dreamed they would ever get to walk in the White House, yes, I go. I don't care who it is. If it's Barack Obama, I go. And if he wants to shake hands, I would, probably would, but I would be the guy just minding my business. Or if I got the opportunity, I'd say, well, I don't agree with your policies, but I wanted to be here with my homeboys. A lot of these guys, none of us maybe were ever going to see the inside of the White House. So there you go. Leave it at that. But no, Stephen Curry and his team, oh, we have to see what we want to do because Donald Trump, well, he's not representing, he's not doing it. Donald Trump has never done a drive-by, shot any cops. Donald Trump is not over any city where black people have been killed. Name all the people that have been shot. Eric Garner, he got killed in New York. What's that got to do with Trump? That was on, what's his face? Who's the mayor of New York right now? He's an idiot. That guy. It's on his watch, or it was on it's on de Blasio, or it was on Bloomberg's watch. One or the other. The cops report to them. They don't report to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a businessman. What did he have to do with it? What did he have to do with Ferguson? Which, by the way, they exonerated the guy. What did he have to do with St. Louis? Which, by the way, they exonerated the guy. What did he have to do in Baltimore? Which, by the way, they exonerated 6 cops. What did he have to do with any of the situations that have come up How are they Donald Trump's fault? All of them were on Barack Obama's watch. Not a single thing said. So see, that's what tells you about the left. They don't care. They're looking for reasons to be. They're looking for something to say. It's Donald Trump. It's a white man. He's the one doing it. Because that's been so effective for blacks, right? These people are lunatics, folks, and they will not let up. Understand that.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.